Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Chicago sports fans. This is Dave.
Chief.
Carl.
Eddie, you threw off the order.
Yeah, I don't.
I didn't know what was going on. I'm lost.
Hold on, I can't hear Ed.
Everybody else can hear him.
But this actually, I don't mind if we do a podcast where Dave can't hear Eddie.
Guess what he's saying? He's talking shit right now.
We'll play telephone.
I'm sure he is.
White Sox Dave said he just said you are going through hookers left and right out in LA. Is that true or false?
It's scumbag fuck. Of course he said that.
Jesus, Dave. This is Redline Radio. This is an all gas, no breaks Chicago sports podcast brought to you by Miller Lite. And there's a reputation that people in Los Angeles don't drink Miller Lite. Is this true or false, Ed?
I haven't seen a ton of it, to be honest, but I'm pushing the cause, of course. Everywhere we go, honestly, that's a thing with us too. Like even in New York, like we're always like, dude, you guys need more Miller Lite. Like it's just like a fact. You guys there's too many bars you go to. It's like, where's the Miller? So that's like our mission statement. I mean, we got our guys in Chicago covered, but a lot of people listen to us outside of Chicago. Drink more Miller Lite. It's that simple.
This is a death match between Super Bowl week and St. Patrick's week for how much Miller Lite the city of Chicago is going to pump out. I like the Super Bowl Sunday. I think Super Bowl Sunday we're going to do more Miller Lite.
I like that too. And then
Dave, you don't.
If you go to a bar and someone's like, "Oh, we don't have Miller Lite. Is this okay?" Say no. Be like, "No, it's not okay. Give me a fucking Miller Lite." And stand your ground. And
Ed,
if they don't have it, then you leave.
That's
how we do it.
No, I'm leaving this bar. Tom, you're coming with me. We're going to go.
Well, you would get physical first.
Well, I mean, obviously. I have a reputation to uphold.
Ed gets physical here and there.
Yep. That's why we ask you guys to celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories, 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Miller Lite, great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/redline to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. It's Miller time again. Celebrate responsibly, guys. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories, 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Ed, when was the last time you were in this office?
Dude,
I saw him a couple days ago.
I'm so out of it. I don't know what's going on, like with anything. It's been a long time.
Are you like Tyler Durden right now?
Well, I was there Friday, but it was like so quick and like so like we were on the move. We had Oakley and we had a bunch of shit going on. So, yeah, I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Do you have any singles left in your wallet?
Well, that's
there
a
were
good
no strippers.
Charles Oakley is joining this show in a second. That's a good teaser. He is going to be coming on the show in a second. I see you smiling a lot in this content, though. Like every time I see you in the background of a picture, you got a big fucking smile on your face. It looks like you're having a blast.
I mean, it's nice to see the sun, right? I mean, I think I was talking to Danny about it before. Like, I've never been someone who like took like a sunny vacation, like that of winter. You just kind of drudge it out from November to March or whatever. And so this is like the first time where I've had that.
Yeah, Snowbird.
Yeah, so it's nice.
So are you going to continue to make fun of me for loving Arizona?
Well, this is a work trip, Dave. A little bit of a difference besides you being like, I want to change my...
I was out there for work for 2 months.
I guess so, but you would move out there right now, right?
If I could, I would, yeah. I mean, now that you see the difference, like, so I saw a graphic today on Twitter saying, like, we have a national, like, it's starting to get a little warmer across the entire country. And I randomly looked at LA to see what kind of weather you guys were dealing with. It said it was 86 and sunny. Isn't it awesome going to that from what you've been in Chicago for the last couple months?
It's very nice. It's very nice. What do you guys think of snowbirds? Like, is that...
I would be a snowbird in 30 seconds if I could.
Would you guys, Chief Carl?
It's a lifestyle change. I think obviously you got to have the money, but you also have to have the detachment. So whether that's like friends, family, kids, a job, or whatever, you're just like, yo, I don't give a fuck. I think it's like a status in life to aspire to where you're like, yeah, I can't wait till like I got that 3 months in Arizona. I'm playing golf and nobody can tell me what to do. I'm so far away from that.
Yeah, I think I would do it, but I think I would go to a place where the snow is useful. I don't mind the cold. I just hate the winter in Chicago. It's just windy. You just walking the dog sucks. You get snow all in your
gross,
shoes.
Disgusting snow. Not like the pretty.
You get salt everywhere. It sucks. So I would be a snowbird that goes to like Colorado or Montana or something like that. But I don't think I would go Florida, Arizona, or like a warm weather destination.
Yeah, like if it was just 10 with no snow and no wind, like I think it wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, but there is snow and there is wind. and there is salt everywhere. And and Ed doesn't have a dog, so he never has to go outside in the winter.
Dude, I've gone through a whole fucking bottle of hand moisturizer for my dog's paws because the salt just chews them up in the winter.
You got to get the little booties for him.
He won't wear them. He
but
rips them
you
off.
could at least film it when they're trying to walk, because that is fun.
Yeah, because it's like a little Bambi on a frozen lake.
Yeah.
Just
I didn't know moisturize the paws. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, of course you didn't know that, Ed.
Little coconut oil.
Don't be dropping those little. Oh, I didn't know that. I care.
I
You
honestly
don't
didn't.
care.
Do you do that too? I assume.
I mean, I don't because Scotty doesn't need it. But when he does,
I'll put coconut oil on the paws.
Yeah, we'll rub him down with some coconut oil.
Which he
Ace is
just
probably a
instantly
giant pussy,
licks
so
off.
he needs it more.
Yeah, I'll liberally apply ointments to my dog as I see fit. Okay, question Ed and Chief. L.A. Ed, Vegas Chief. And I still think I fucking balled out harder this weekend going to the Indiana locker room with Brad Underwood than you guys. Like, no offense to you guys. I was in central Indiana, and I just was like more VIP than anything you guys will see your time, I would imagine. And you were like hanging out with the NHL guys.
Yeah, the entire NHL was there for the All-Star game. We had multiple NHL guys on our own team. Patrick Sharp played. Obviously, Darrell's played. Versteeg was on a different team, although I think I've successfully recruited him for our team for next time. I am the best GM, hockey GM in Chicago. Like, I'm just plucking guys left and right, recruiting, and we won. But yeah, it was one of those things where it's like, I think anybody else, like we went to some club called Hackensack or something like that in I believe Hakkasan. It was in the Aria. Tom's laughing at me like, you fucking loser bozo, don't even know the name of it. But yeah, so we were in the Aria, and it was like objectively cool. Just wasn't my scene. I walked in there. We had 2 booths to ourselves. Every NHL player who was there had their own booth if they wanted one. It was like a who's who in this place. And I basically did like the Grandpa Simpson meme, where I was like, take a couple pictures, take a swig out of the Chiclets cup, and then head back to the blackjack tables with Riggs. And that was kind of the with Riggs and then John Kelly. That was like the group that left the left the club after like 20 minutes. So it's just not my scene. But if you like that scene, that place was great. And I love being able to cut lines and feel like a VIP, even though I have no business being that. But we got first class treatment through the
Cutting lines in Vegas. It
was nice. Not paid
Dave,
for
I noticed you're not as harsh on words as you are for these two as you were for me last week. That's interesting.
No, I mean, Carl obviously is a sellout. Chief,
yeah,
I was working.
He's getting there.
I have no
He's
problem
getting
selling
there.
out.
I
What do you
understand
mean?
it.
What do you mean I'm getting to be a sellout? What would you like me to do?
You'll get there eventually.
Well, I don't know what that means.
Had a lovely weekend on the couch with the dog.
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice weekend, too. It's also nice when your friend's like, hey, I got us a private jet to go to Indiana.
Yeah, you can't say no to that.
Right.
But Ed,
Apparently Dave would, though.
like Ed, you just like, we don't have to go down this whole rabbit hole again. You know what you did, kid, and these guys know what they did, and we'll just leave it at that.
Mm-hmm. You're a big anti-hypocrisy, Dave. I just want to make sure I'm holding you up.
I am very no. There's no hypocrisy in anything I'm saying. They know they're sellouts. You are actually a sellout.
That
What?
doesn't make sense.
That you're not making any sense.
Yeah, I make perfect sense. Like, Ed's actually a changed man. Like, you guys are just playing the part of a changed man.
I don't.
There's a difference.
I don't think I am a changed man. I don't think Ed's a changed man.
Ed's definitely a changed man.
I know what Dave's saying, that Eddie's more changed and maybe it doesn't come out. Whereas, like, it's coming out, they're like, oh, no, fucking Carl's on the private jet.
Carl,
Like,
Carl,
nothing
would you have turned down a private jet 5 years ago?
No,
the answer
of course
is no.
not.
The answer is no.
I mean,
so
I don't need help
what
answering
changes are we talking about? What degree of sellouts are we talking about? I was working. Still grinding out $50 hands. It's not like I'm sitting there betting like crazy money in Vegas either.
Is Big Cat a changed man, Dave?
Yeah, I'm the only one at the company who isn't, basically. Now that I think about it.
Oh, God. You're not a changed man.
I'm the only true.
You're in here playing Leonard Skinner for 6 hours. You're not a changed man. You're going down to fucking. You're hunting in Central Illinois. You're giving people food poisoning. You're buying KitchenAid
I'm not giving
appliances.
First of all, Ed, you fucking little cunt.
What did I do?
Yo, you're bringing shit up that you know is just gonna stir the pot.
See, this is your other aggressions, your other grievances with me coming out saying I've changed because your other things you're mad at me for. So get this out and we can get to the surface.
What are you really mad about,
This
Dave?
came out. I was ripping on you for the stripper asshole thing in the private jets like well before the Sydney thing.
Okay.
Was I not?
But regardless,
This is just added to it. This is an additive where you had to bring that up, and of course you lead her into where everybody think I poisoned Sydney Wells. I didn't poison Sydney Wells. Chief, you just finished yours 2 nights ago. Did you get sick?
I had a burger the exact same time as Sydney Wells, and I was fine.
The whole office did.
What do you mean I lead her? Where do you think I would have gotten that information from, David?
I know exactly. Everybody knows where you got it from, but it was the entire fact that you brought it up, knowing fully that I didn't poison her, just so people could think that I poisoned her.
It was her words, not mine.
But you know the truth.
I didn't eat it. I wasn't following that as closely as you guys were.
You didn't do any ounce of research or investigative journalism to find out who poisoned Sydney Wells.
Nobody does that
You
anymore.
just asked it, and it was all of a sudden perception's reality. Everybody thinks I poisoned her, and you just let the people run with that.
Investigative journalism's problem to ask a question. It's the person who answers the question.
You knew what you were doing, did you not?
Ed, are you an investigative journalist?
No.
Okay, well.
But
No.
my point is that you didn't ask me for my side of the story or anybody else that ate those burgers. You just let the people.
There. You went to the company party in December and you sat this one out. So.
You asked the question knowing that people were gonna, and they're still ripping on me about it. How, like people in my DMs, how could you fucking not cook that burger meat more? Like, look at how much blood's like. It was insane the amount of fucking pushback.
Were there
I
any
got.
simps that were like, I would cook such a better burger for Sydney?
Not like that. It was people like
Not in his DMs.
running to her defense as if I poisoned her, and like everything that I did was by her orders. And Chief, because he was the one who held it for a week or whatever, 5 days, whatever it was, and everybody ate the meat. And you knew that, Ed. You knew that everybody was eating the meat and that nobody else got sick other than her.
All right, let's make a ruling here. We got Super Bowl, we got Charles Oakley, we got a Blackhawks GM search, got a lot of stuff going on. I want to get a ruling on the Sydney Wells food poisoning issue going on in the office here, Chief.
I feel like I have to be on White Sox Dave's team because I ate a burger that day. I made tacos with that meat later on, so I don't
like a week plus after she got sick.
Yeah, I mean I froze it, but I'm on Team Dave. I think Sydney, maybe there was some issues with the preparation. I don't know, but all I know is that I didn't get sick, so maybe I just have a stronger stomach than she does.
Okay.
Which
Final ruling, Dave.
that could be the case that you have a stronger stomach, but at the same time she's been eating this kind of shit.
He
her
just
entire
sided
life.
for you.
I
He
know.
just gave you, like, you're in the clear now.
I'm saying that Sydney needs to fucking work on her gut health or something.
A little probiotic might help with that.
Carl, could I make one more point? And tell me if I can't, because I don't want to get him going again. And I just, if you want to keep the show.
No,
moving.
I mean, it's just
Make a point,
No, you're
Ed.
out in LA. Make your point.
I feel like it was also crazy for you to dismiss scout seats like that. They're more than $100. It's a premium open bar. There's a buffet. It's a very nice luxury day that you have afforded yourself many times. So for free. So in the common man debate,
do you know how many people have sat in scout seats that are? If you're like a true diehard White Sox fan, you've sat in the scout seats before.
Wow. So now you're putting a.
It's not like most Bulls fans haven't sat courtside. Most Hawks fans, I would guess, haven't sat on the glass, right?
I don't know. I would put scout seats in that same category as being on the glass or sitting courtside.
No. Scout seats are the easiest premium seat to get in Chicago. Anybody can get scout seats for most given games.
I don't know if it'll be like that going forward.
For the Hawks, maybe.
I don't know if it'll be like that going forward. If they're going to be good, like you're predicting, I think that will be they might have been not so hard to get in the years past because they were terrible the last decade. But now, I think it's probably going to be a lot tougher. So maybe a little recency bias for you.
That's all I want to say.
Scout seats are a nice experience, Dave.
It is.
Yeah, I love the Scout seats.
Ed, do you have any as a guy who doesn't like Illinois guys? Do you have any? Was it? I don't know. Is it like it's not resentment,
Angst.
Yeah, where you see Underwood when you see Underwood kiss me on the cheek after the biggest win in like road history at Indiana for Illinois. Are you mad at me for being an Illinois guy and getting that access?
No, I think Underwood's great. We've talked to him 2 or 3 times on this show.
Yeah, I think 3 times.
I'm a big fan of him. I think that guy knows how to how to put himself out there and how to really elevate the program from a younger guy at a media perspective. And so, no, I think he's smart, and I think he just, obviously he's built a bond with you. So I think that's great.
Do you think it was the kiss of death? Because they just got smoked by Purdue.
But they shot 65% in the second half. Jaden Ivey's going to be a top 5 pick. He was awesome.
Yeah.
26 points second half. It was great.
I saw Trent went down. Is there an update on that?
I think it was a bad knee bone bruise, and he ended up playing. He ended up coming in at the end, and that was good to see. And then credit to Mackey Arena because the place was fucking crazy. They're screaming. They're going nuts. I mean, it was the loudest sporting event I've ever been to in my life. And they take a lot of pride in that. And then when he went down, you could hear a fucking pin drop. And then he gets up and they do the standing ovation, which is just classy, Big Ten, midweek, two programs that really respect themselves. And it was funny enough, Sasha Stefanovic, who fucking buried that 3 in my face at Illinois and then went on the Bench Mob show, he stuck around after the game, and he and I sat, and we're the last 2 guys in the stadium. We just sat and talked Big Ten basketball for like 20 minutes.
I love that.
Like not like off record, give me the juice, but it was just like, all right, so like, what happened in the second half? And he was giving me like thorough analysis of like, once they went to this guy, we knew we would go to this guy, and how efficient our offense is. So it honestly is like, especially this job, because like, this is what we love. We love sports. We love, we love Barstool. This is kind of how our, this is growing out of like love for what we do. If you told a fucking 13-year-old Barstool Carl that I'd be like hanging out with the coach in the locker room and then the next game would be like on the road talking to the shooting guard that fucking killed me, I don't think I'd believe it. I really don't think I'd believe it.
Yeah.
I think you could probably say that to 30-year-old Carl.
No, you can.
Yeah.
You could say it to Carl, like you could say it to me a week ago.
Yeah. Right.
So I just wanted to say that out loud. Thanks for people following along, because I got a lot of Illinois buddies, and it's just been that was fucking crazy.
I hope that you're prepared for the curse talk if things go south.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I looked at the schedule.
Okay.
But they're deep. This is a good team, dude. Purdue's fucking solid.
Purdue's awesome. Yeah.
Solid. They lost on a buzzer beater. They lost. Johnny Davis had the game of his life, and then they lost in Indiana by 3. They're so fucking solid.
Can I say something? Zach Edey sucks.
He's 7'4", Dave.
I know. That's
the guy
his skill.
That's
his skill.
Williams, number 50, coming off the bench, is like one of the best passers in America. I don't give a fuck if he's a guard or a forward. That guy just finds open. Everybody, if he's passing you the ball, you're wide fucking open.
Purdue played Northwestern like 2 weeks ago. I watched it, and Northwestern, they got Pete Nance on the team, Larry Nance's son. Or Pete Nance Pete Nance Sr. is his dad. Larry Nance is his brother, who's turned into a really good NBA player. And he's 7 feet tall and can handle the ball like pretty well for someone 7 feet tall. Zach Edey absolutely fucking dwarfed him.
Yeah.
He is the biggest human of all time.
I think he has like a 7'8" wingspan too.
I would guess probably closer to 8 feet.
Yeah, he has thunderous dunks.
There's no way he has to jump to dunk, right?
No. He just stands there. Like it's almost like when you first saw George Mirasan on the cover of Sports Illustrated for Kids standing next to Muggsy Bogues. Like, that's the shock and awe you have watching Zach Edey. So there should be some more Illinois basketball stuff. Comes to NCAA basketball, March Madness. We're trying to ramp it up. That should be a great time of the year. We're all excited for this stuff. I want to get back to Ed, though, while he's here with us, Los Angeles. And let's get to some Super Bowl predictions. A lot of gambling talk. You're out with some of the big whales out there in Los Angeles, Ed. Heavy hitters.
So first of all, I've never been to Super Bowl ever. And apparently just talking to Big Cat and Dave yesterday, it's like LA is a weird city for it because it's so spread out and there's so much more going on, unlike an Indianapolis or like
Minneapolis, yeah.
Yes, where like everything's there and like you see the opposing fans. Like I haven't seen one Bengals fan yet, but I guess they get in a little later in the week, maybe Thursday, Friday. I haven't seen, and obviously like the Rams fans are non-existent. Did you see that?
It's tragic.
Really? It's crazy, dude. It's crazy.
Dog shit sports city. I guess Lakers and Dodgers, right?
I think that's
they just don't care about football.
But even though like the Dodger fans have, and I know some of it is because of Chavez Ravine is like impossible to get to and out of, but they say like show up in the third, leave in the seventh. Like that's kind of their reputation too. So I don't know. I mean it is like pathetic. But do you give them any sort of slack because it is like a new team? Like they lost.
It's not though.
But they lost an entire generation of fans.
I know, Chief, because dude, look what the fucking Knights did, man. Like
yeah,
they formed a fan base so fast, and like they went to the Cup the first year. Like
but I think that was a town that was just like starving for recognition and having their own pro sports team. I think there was an element of that. But yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think most cities probably lean in. The expansion year is usually like a very good year. So I think this is their first year in that stadium officially, right? Or with fans at least.
Yeah, with fans. I mean, and listen, they have plenty to root for too. They got so many sick guys like Aaron Donald. Stafford's easy to root
Ramsey,
for.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then listen, I know there's real fans out there too. Don't get me wrong. So I'm not, good for them. I'm sorry you get caught up in this mess. I'm sure you're just as sick of it as everyone else is seeing it. But honestly, and this is not a meatball take, this is how I felt all year. Like after the Bears beat the Bengals, I faded them almost every week this year. Like I bet against them so much.
Mm-hmm.
You and I talked about this off camera the other day.
Yes. Like I remember watching that game and being like, wow, Bengals are bad.
Mm-hmm.
And that was week 2. And now I keep getting proven wrong. So I'm at the point where it's like, I think I got to go Bengals. And that's where I'm at.
But they're going to get smoked if you do that.
Are you money line? Did you buy them up to 4.5? What do you?
I haven't done it yet, but also
it's currently 4.5.
Okay.
It's currently Bengals plus 4.5.
Yeah.
Any decided, feel on the total?
I think it was 48.5. I've decided how I feel about this game.
How do you feel?
I like the Rams big. I don't think that they can block the Rams. I think that's what it's going to come down to.
Because that's what
Joe Mixon
doing the same thing.
What about Joe Mixon's screen game? What about quick hits to Jamar?
I think they'll do some of that. But I think over and over and over, I just they have a hard time blocking like normal defensive lines. You give them Aaron Donald, they just have so many guys. Von Miller, Floyd, like they get after the quarterback, and I don't think if the Bengals have a bad offensive line, this is the wrong team to be playing against. And I think that they'll eventually they'll get to Joe Burrow too much. And it's the same thing we saw last year. Like last year, the Chiefs had a better offensive line than the Bengals, but it was the pass rush that makes a difference, and that's always seemingly like the thing historically is the team with the best D line kind of comes through in this game. So I'm rolling with the Rams to cover the 4.5.
Would like to give a quick shout out to my guy Ben Skournick.
My guy.
Northwestern in Notre Dame. He so last week I missed the game. I missed the Rams game last week, and I didn't see it until a couple days later. But I talked to Ben here and there. I talked to his brother like every week while they're playing. And he dropped a wide-open touchdown pass last week. But I hope he gets a chance again, and I hope he gets a ring in his rookie year. It'd be really cool. So shout out Ben.
I think Aaron Donald's coming for you, Ed. I think he's been in the back of your mind since he got picked right in front of us. And I think this is gonna come back and just absolutely fucking destroy you on this Bengals pick. And like you're just gonna have nightmares of Aaron Donald for the rest of your life.
He's the prime example. Everyone's like, oh, it doesn't really matter. A couple spots in the draft, as long as it's not like the top 3. No. I mean, Kyle Fuller was a good, solid Bear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no disrespect. Well, stay safe out there, and we miss you. We're excited to see you. Is there anything you want to promote? Dave Portnoy Show, things are going well.
Yeah, the only thing is get your bets in early. They're promoting that because obviously I think a numerous amount of sports books had trouble on Super Bowl Sunday because everyone's trying to slam their bets in. So make sure you do that. I think there's an overs club, and then we'll be at Barstool River North. So come out Sunday for the Super Bowl if you want to hang. And
heads or tails, Ed?
I'm a tails.
Oh, that reminds me.
I'm fading everybody on that. I'm taking heads. So that's where I stand on it.
What reminds you?
No, I'll tell you later.
Okay.
I'll tell you later. Trust me, I'll tell you later, Ed. When I say I'll tell you later, I'll tell you later. All right?
All right. Have a nice show, guys.
So that's it. Hopefully he gets back safe. Like he said, we'll be in River North. And I saw the trips. All these people going out to Los Angeles. So Scouts Honors guys. I've gone to my fucking head. I have no problem driving a Chevy to Los Angeles right fucking now because it's reliable and the service is great.
I mean, I love a Chevy. ChevyDriveChicago.com is where you're going to go to find your local dealer today. And it's winter. This is one of those times you have to make sure every single thing is going right with your car, right down to the washer fluid. Make sure that thing's filled up. Get your brakes checked. Get your tires rotated. And if you're in the market for a new car, you can head over there to ChevyDriveChicago.com to find that too, because it is that time of year as well. So ChevyDriveChicago.com, the best. We are all big Chevy guys here at Barstool Chicago. And I love a road trip. I would be down for that type of thing in the summer too.
Mm-hmm. Like, take that Chevy, fire it up. I'm not saying who drove. The cross country trip, and I guarantee you, a Chevy's a smoother ride. It's a better experience.
You know what I think we should do? I think we should go out to Arizona for White Sox Dave's trip, and we'll try to see the entire state in a day. So
you can do it
in a Chevy.
Flagstaff through the Phoenix area through Tucson. You can do that.
We'll do the whole state in one day, and maybe we'll stop in for like a spring training game or something.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Okay.
But I want to point out the Chevy we're taking down there is from Chicagoland Chevy. Guys,
of course. Yeah.
ChevyDriveChicago.com. Find a local dealer. Hear me now. Believe me later. You know what the car situation's like. Don't make me say it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But important to know that the Chicago Auto Show is back in town. Did you know that?
McCormick Place, yep.
Yeah, it's at McCormick Place, as always. One of my favorite times of year. I love the auto show. I go every single year, every
With your
single
dad,
day.
right?
Yeah, huge dad-son bonding thing.
You guys spend the night in the Hyatt down there in the same hotel room?
Oh, yeah.
And you guys
so
go out
we
for a night
go
on
and
the
check
town.
out all the Camaros and Corvettes and all that, but, I mean, that's not something I'm purchasing. I'm just getting, standard Cobalt or something.
And that starts on February 12th. So you can head down to McCormick Place, see their entire lineup of cars that are at the that are on display at the Chevy dealers. So it's great. Head on down to the auto show.
Put on something nice too. Just don't roll out of bed and go to the auto show. Class it up. There's some nice stuff. Nice people walking around. It's a fancy event. ChevyDriveChicago.com.
It is
Chevy
kind of a fancy event.
It is fucking.
Yeah.
I mean, people are walking around there looking at like $400,000 cars.
Yeah.
And then there's guys like us. Like, oh, look at the size of that fucking thing. Oh, I didn't know they could make it look that cool. Hey, can I sit inside this thing? Yeah, no. Then there's people walking around being like, I can write you a check.
I drive this out of here.
Like they actually have an option in the back where you can just. I wouldn't put it past it. These conventions are out of control. The boat show, holy fuck! Have you been to the boat show?
Of course, I love the boat show.
I've
only been one
boat.
time.
I can hardly row. I kayak a little. When I say little, I mean the exact definition of little.
Kayaking's fucking hard.
Yeah, I mean, the people that like have the
like too much
kayak
work.
and it's like hanging up in their apartment, like just move out of Chicago.
Yeah,
Fuck
you
off.
don't
Go
belong
somewhere
here.
else. But the boat show, I can't drive a boat. I mean, that's probably just because I don't have my license or a boat or access to them. But I'm not saying it's like a big hurdle. But I was walking the floor and just instantly was like, I need to save $700,000.
Yeah.
It's like, how deep does this one? How far out of coast does this one go? The guy's like, what do you give a fuck?
I remember we did the Miller Lite boat one year. I think it was summer of 19. And I was talking to like the first mate.
Yeah.
Okay, I was talking to him.
Danny?
No, it was the
No,
captain
no.
and then the first mate.
Yeah, the captain and the first mate.
We had a first mate on that thing?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And he had a boat. And he bought a boat from, it was like a boat repair place down in Indiana. It was like a sailboat, like a 25-foot sailboat, like nothing crazy. But a nice boat. And he was like, I got it for $6,000. He's like, the slip cost me like another $6,000 for the year. And I'm like, well, that's fucking awesome. Like, I would love to have a sailboat for essentially $12,000, but
Yeah, and I thought the slip was out in the harbor too,
Yeah.
right? It was like in Monroe Harbor.
Yep.
Very nice. Now the problem is though, the people that do stuff excellently and then make it sound casually are very difficult people to relate to.
Yeah. And then I was telling, this is like in 19, I was telling my mom, I think it was, I was home like for the holidays or Father's Day or whatever it was. Like, yeah, I think I'm gonna like save up and maybe get a boat next summer. She's like, hey, moron, why don't you do something like get a house first?
You know what
I'm like,
word comes to
all
mind
right.
now? This is Romantic Chief. This is Romantic Chief who meets a guy with a sailboat, shows him the sailboat, and now we're getting a sailboat.
What's that Costner movie? Message in a Bottle. There he just sails around North Carolina. I'm like, that looks great.
Is that a good movie?
It's set in Chicago and North Carolina. I would say it's like a Nicholas Sparks. It's like a Notebook kind of movie.
I would snowbird in the Carolinas. Can you? No,
I don't even
right?
think it would be considered. It still gets kind of cold down there at times.
Yeah, I think I might have just outed myself as an
seasons
idiot.
than like
Yeah.
Arizona or Florida.
Or even you get way more seasons in North Carolina than you do in South Carolina. South Carolina it's the lowlands, gets a little more tropical, warmer. North Carolina, like you get snow.
Okay. I like them both, though. I like them both evenly. And that last thought on snow, if you are going to snowbird, you have to, now as I say this stuff about the Carolinas, I feel like you absolutely have to commit somewhere that is, it's going to be 77 and sunny.
Yeah.
Like if I was like, oh, I'm going to snowbird, and where are you going to go? And it's like, sometimes it.
Yeah. I mean, that
Nashville.
can make a big difference. Like I remember like when I used to go to Charlotte all the time for my old job, and it was like, at least it's 45 here. It'd be 45 in February as opposed to -10 and 2 feet of snow, and that felt like a big difference. So I think
We're
bitching
going
a
through
lot
it now.
right
I was
now.
going to say we're going through it now, though, where it was fucking 6 degrees, and then when it's 26 degrees and you're taking the dog out, you're
You
like,
feel
it's
great,
not
yeah.
fucking bad at all.
yeah, you feel great.
I was like debating whether to wear a jacket today, and it was 37. I'm like,
It feels like a spring day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can wear a hoodie out in this.
Yeah.
Lance is not along. Everybody is in agreement on this
We're
topic.
bitching
If you-
about
if
the
you're
weather
listening,
right
you
now?
disagree, you're wrong. Sorry.
No, you're good. But we've had a really good winter, all things considered.
I would agree.
Like until 2 weeks ago, we hadn't had any snow hardly at all.
Correct.
Like, nothing. We haven't had that like polar vortex like 2 weeks straight of 0-degree highs. It's gotten down to like single digits overnight and shit, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Do you like a white Christmas? I mean, I
do.
mean, it's like I like it so much that I'm willing to take it on. Right?
No, it's just bad that this is
This
like,
is the
you would
worst.
define this as like a not a bad winter. It's been pretty brutal. Like it's been like
Oh,
I would
it's
say-
New York Tom, huh?
I think this feels
what today is today right now is normally what the winter is like all the time
Right.
in New York is like what today is, and like the like freezing is like in the 20s. It's been like normally in the 20s or teens nonstop since we got back from like holiday break.
Good cig smoking weather too, huh?
Horrible.
See, this is to me, this is like a New York winter. You got 1 or 2 snowstorms. You know,
The weather.
No.
It's like normally in the 20s or teens every day, or the single digits.
okay.
You know what? We're on New York. Tom's talking. I gotta bring it up. Do you eat a plant-based diet?
No.
Do you eat a plant-based diet?
No.
Do you eat a plant-based diet?
I don't.
Did you see the video?
Of the mayor?
The mayor from
I
New York.
blogged it. He said
One of
cheese
the
is heroin.
Funniest things I've ever
Oh,
seen
I
in my
didn't
life.
see
The
that.
mayor of New York just standing in
Yeah.
front of this press conference. I eat a plant-based diet.
And they're like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "I'm not answering that." he's like, "I'm not getting into like this piece of cake has eggs. Fuck you, I'm not answering."
He
it."
seriously
Like,
was
whoa.
like confrontational with the media. They
He's
were
like, "You put a heroin
wrong with
addict
you?"
and someone who eats cheese in the same room and show me who the real addict is." I'm like, "Probably the heroin guy." Probably.
Hand
Now,
up, I put cheese on. I would put cheese on my cereal if it were socially acceptable.
I said
I put cheese on everything.
I blogged it and I said that I can walk away from cheese, but if the conversation switches to melted cheese, then now I'm in trouble.
That's yeah. It's such a difference.
It is probably the biggest difference between the same thing. Like how
Yeah.
much better melted cheese is than just like a piece of cheese. It's like a gap as big as the
there has to
Grand
be
Canyon.
some scientific reason, like the fucking temperature that makes the molecules inside the cheese move faster, and then because of that oxidizes something that releases excess flavor. Maybe
I have no idea. It's
Anybody?
the texture, the whole thing. And I like room temperature cold cheese too, but that melted cheese, holy fuck. Melted cheese is heroin.
Yeah, pour it on me. That got a little. I mean, don't pour it on me unless it's unless it's like a fucking creamy Gouda. We have, all right, how about this? We have a topic that is as passionate as it can get to one of our co-hosts here that I'm going to introduce it in a second here. But I want to be locked in for this conversation. I want to be focused. I want to be a good partner to Chief because I know there's some shit on his chest he wants to talk about. We're exploring stuff. And Dave, I wanted to get so focused that I went to innovativeadd.com to get help with filling my ADHD medication.
And you know what the best part about going to innovativeadd.com is, Carl?
What is it, Dave?
It's that it's an actual medical clinic. It's not some quack, bullshit online clinic that's going to fuck you over where you got to really read the fine print and all that shit. But it's a real live medical clinic. And if you are a resident of Illinois, you can go there and get your ADD medication refilled for you from your own couch. And
Can you use insurance?
They take insurance, Chief.
What
They
about
take
Blue
insurance.
Cross Blue Shield?
Yeah,
they do. They take it.
They
That's
do.
insurance.
Okay, yes, they do. I was like, way to throw me on the spot, you fuckface.
Hey, who's our insurance provider?
We do have Blue Cross Blue Shield, but we get it out of it's technically Empire, which is a New York company, and I would imagine that might change to a Pennsylvania-based company at some point, which will be interesting. We have great health. We have phenomenal healthcare coverage, which no one will ever talk about because we're too busy about talking about other things like innovativeadd.com. Like Dave said, if you're a resident of Illinois, this is a spot for you guys. It's a real medical clinic. It very much will help you manage your ADHD medication. No, you don't have to drive and go pick up a script and then go hand it off to the pharmacy and wait around every month. They'll take care of you.
Do it
Piece
from
of
the
cake.
comfort of your own home.
Yeah. And then, if it, like we said previous times, if you do feel the need to go in, it's great. It's a great place to go in. So Innovative is great. We love Innovative. But yeah, specifically for this ADD medication management, go to innovativeadd.com to sign up. And you won't regret it.
Okay, we're focused. I want to just we're focused on this topic, and it sounds like the Blackhawks are in the depths of the GM search.
Yeah. I mean, did you guys talk about, I'm trying to remember the timeline. You talk about Rocky's outburst too?
Yeah, so we totally left all of this for you.
Okay.
All of it. I'm sorry. The Rocky outburst was so outrageous that it was like, if I talk about that, I want to get Chief. No, I'm just like, I don't want to get Chief mad. Like, this is such a ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I just couldn't. I was in, Vegas. I had no idea what day it was, and I didn't know if it overlapped with the recording or not. But that outburst, it is impossible to say anything good about the Blackhawks, and it's a shame because they call this town hall, which everybody's invited to, fans, media, etc. That question is coming about the Kyle Beach stuff and steps they've taken. So did you just not prepare? Did you not say, hey, we're gonna get this question, this is how we're gonna answer it?
I think maybe Danny fucking prepared, Jamie prepared,
yeah.
but there's some triggering thing where it looks like Danny and Jamie probably prepared, and then we're like, hey, don't tell Rock about this just because you know how triggered he gets when we bring it up. That's what it seemed like.
But at the same time, if he's on the panel, it's like, hey, Dad, or hey, Mr. Wirtz, this question is coming and this is how we're going to answer it. And if he just says, hey, fuck that in the pre-meeting, then you don't invite him to the panel. That's the way it is. He's a chairman. He's not really a bit involved. He hasn't really been involved, which is what the problem was probably maybe to begin with. But he didn't know what was going on in that organization and clearly still doesn't. So maybe it's time to just be like, hey, Rock, thanks for bringing hockey back and saving it in this city and putting it on TV and all that. But you go away now forever, because that to me, it just smacks of that lack of institutional control. If Danny and Jamie have a message and Rocky just comes in and shits all over it in front of everybody on a question that you knew was coming, it's just you're not paying attention, and you weren't paying attention before, and you're not paying attention now, and that is at the heart of these issues. So you didn't realize how rotten things got with John McDonough across the entire business.
Do you think he's capable of though? The outburst was so out of touch that I just saw a bratty kid who grew up to be this billionaire. It was
yeah.
It was so.
I do think he hates Mark Lazarus.
Okay.
I think that was a fact.
Now, that's the first time I'm hearing anything
Yeah.
along the lines of, like, he doesn't like the guy asking the question to begin with.
Yeah, I think that was part of it. Now, he did kind of double down on Phil Thompson, who's from the Tribune, which I don't know have you guys ever heard of Phil Thompson?
No.
Okay, so I hadn't heard of him either, but I guess he's a sports columnist for the Trib, and Rocky went kind of hard at him too, and Danny reached out to him saying like, hey, like, we'd love to talk about this stuff. And they have since released statements being like, this is what we're doing. They've taken all these positive steps. But the outburst like overshadowed what was, to me, and I watched the whole thing, a great town hall. Like, they addressed a lot of things, kind of meeting fans like halfway on a lot of issues. Like, hey, like, you know what? We hear you guys. We know we suck. Season ticket holders, you don't have to pay for preseason anymore. So if you're paying $10,000, we're going to cut you at $800 break. I think that's pretty nice. Yeah. And they had a lot of things kind of like that they got very specific on that you don't normally see from organizations. So I thought so my tweet when Rocky's outburst was Danny and Jamie went out and won all the wars, and then won all the battles. Rocky came out and lost the war because all anybody could talk about was Rocky's outburst, when in reality 90% of that town hall was like, okay, like, I feel pretty good about what we're doing here. And then, the next day is they get, Rocky's like, why don't you ask us about the GM search? Well, I wish people hadn't. And the Hawks have been very forthcoming with who they're interviewing. A lot of the names make no sense. And they announced that they're doing this advisory committee. Okay. And
how many people are on the advisory?
The advisory committee is, they have this guy who's like a headhunter essentially, that he's involved, but the official advisory committee is Danny, Jamie, Edzo, Sharpie, Marion Hossa.
And you were just with Sharpie.
And so they're doing all these interviews, and we're sitting around scrolling through, and it's like Sharpie's sitting 3 feet from me in our trailer locker room. What's going on? I don't know. So I don't know what the advisory committee is doing if a third of it is dicking around in Vegas with us playing roller hockey. So I don't know if there's going to be Zooms or what later on, but it almost felt kind of like the Bears, right? When they were like, yeah, we're doing all these head coaching interviews. Well, you don't even have a GM yet. So it's like, yeah, we're doing all these GM interviews, but all of our hockey related minds that are involved in this, so we made a big show out of making part of this advisory committee, they're not really involved. So what's the point of having an advisory committee if you're going to conduct these interviews on your own? And and some of the names, obviously Kyle Davidson, who's the interim GM now, everybody had been speculating that he's like, it's in the bag for him, like he's going to get it. So, which I would be fine with. The other thing that really bothered me is why they set the deadline to hire a guy of the trade deadline, which is March 21st this year. You've waited so long to hire a new GM. You're telling me Kyle Davidson can't handle one trade deadline? Like, nothing in this organization is going to be fixed by March 21st. So if you've waited this long, just let the season end. Then you can interview people from all over the place, and maybe somebody else gets fired that you think is a good candidate, or maybe somebody else, just their contract runs out, and you're able to interview people. Like, why not just wait until April or May to go through this? But that's not the direction that they're going. So some of the names that I went, what the fuck, are Peter Chiarelli. So Peter Chiarelli was the Bruins general manager, and he built they won the cup in 2011. And built largely, he was really instrumental in putting that team together. Like, credit to him. Absolutely tanked it worse than anybody. Traded Sagan, got basically nothing. And then the team was like in the shitter, and he got fired. And so that he was in the finals against the Hawks in 2013. He was fired after 2015. So it went sour real quick, and credit to the Bruins that they were able to recognize that a lot earlier than the Hawks recognized what was going on with Stan. Got rid of him. Chiarelli, on the strength of that cup, went to Edmonton, where he had Connor McDavid and all these guys. He never won a playoff series, oftentimes missed the playoffs. He got fired from there after 4 years. So
isn't there a stigma they can't build around, like everyone's like, oh.
You would think that they would be able to be better. Chiarelli is a fucking idiot. and you trade Taylor Hall for Adam Larson, okay, which is Taylor Hall. Like, look, Taylor Hall has some baggage to him. He's not my favorite guy, but you traded a guy who won the MVP for like a second pair defenseman. So it's like that right there is a red flag. It smacks of trading Panarin for Saad. It's just like, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. And so he's got to be out. The name that I texted you about, Jeff Greenberg from the Cubs,
crazy to me.
What?
This is crazy to me.
So can you tell people who he is and what he does?
He's a guy that came into the organization as like a like early admin kind of fucking. You work in the front office. You're gonna do like literally the lowest. There's stuff when people are like, Theo, I'll come in. Give me a job. I'll do anything you ask me to do around the office. Like it would fit that mode and model, and just kind of climbing the ranks as far as being like an organizational conduit between. Work a little bit with farm system, work a little bit with Scott Report, and then just like as the Theo regime becomes more successful over time, what happens? Other organizations come in and then they pull away from your mid levels, right? They don't hire away the senior guys; they pull the mid management out. And so Greenberg's just been a guy who's been around the whole time. He's played his cards right, and he's been at the Cubs, and it's not like I know this guy personally. It's just like knowing the background and knowing where he fits in the organization and how Theo and those guys like promote and operate. But he wasn't like Scotty Harris, like boy fucking he's not like some boy wonder.
And he's
been around long enough though. They like him. He's organized. It's somebody where you're like, you know what? He's a fucking organizational guy. We'll build around him and all this stuff. And it makes me nervous that it sounds like if they were like, hey, we're gonna bring in. One of the assistants, say they just hired a couple assistant GMs, but like say it was like an assistant GM that had been around for a couple of years and made some moves and was in a strategic analytic role with transferable skills, quant based, like, we'll go do something different. This is crazy to me.
So here's if he is that admin, I'm going to build an operations department guy, which sounds like maybe he would have some level of expertise in how to build sports operations department. Maybe
it's more about the fucking interplay between ownership, business, a brand, championship. Like that's what people really like about the Cubs is because it's like, well, you guys had all this success, you grew the brand, and they built this model where like baseball does baseball, business does business. So I don't even know if it's like this like strategic thing as much as it's like, hey, you can work in an organization where the owner's going to ask you to do something, the president's going to ask you to do something, some like the video guy needs shit from you, and you can just fucking scratch everybody's back.
Okay. So that makes me feel even worse because I was trying to like rationalize this thing in my head, but it always fell apart. So I was thinking like, all right, Greenberg will be in charge of, we need this type of budget for the scouting. We're going to have this people funnel up to this guy and like just build the org chart from an administration standpoint. But that doesn't make somebody a GM.
Right. Yeah.
That makes somebody maybe an assistant to the GM. And maybe that is actually what he interviewed for, but that's not what like the Blackhawks themselves have said. So then it's like it kind of flies in the face of what Danny was saying, Danny Wirtz, is that, we don't believe in having a lot of hierarchies. We want to have it pretty flat so there's accountability. So the GM is going to report directly to me, Danny Wirtz. And there's not, they debated how to structure it. We're going to have a president of hockey ops and a GM. And he's like, that's how things get convoluted. And it was certainly how things got convoluted in the last regime where it's like, well, John McDonough came in and told me to do this. Well, Al actually signed that contract. Oh, well, and it was just so Stan could always blame and point the fingers elsewhere. And it was nothing was ever his fault. It was Quenneville's fault. It was Davidson's fault. It was Rocky's fault. It was John McDonough's fault. It was everybody else's fault except for his, which is how he got promoted and got a million jobs and this and that. But now it's like, so we're flattening the hierarchy. Great. Love that idea. I think that's a good strategy. But we're going to hire a guy at the top of the hierarchy who has no experience in hockey whatsoever? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, like, did you confirm he has, I know he's worked for the Cubs for like 10 fucking years.
I think he got hired in 12.
Yeah, like this isn't, so I'm not missing something where it's like, oh, actually he came up with the Chicago Wolves for 7 years. And,
he's got a law degree from Columbia. I went through his LinkedIn. And so
smart. That's hard.
Smart guy. Ivy League, smart guy. He is also, Jamie Faulkner, who's the Blackhawks president now. Her husband is a C-suite guy for the Cubs. So there's some crossover there. But if you hired him to build the organization like structurally, I'd be fine with that. But You'd have to have him be in like an assistant GM title and get like a salary bump and a title bump somehow from what he is with the Cubs. And then he's in charge of that. I'd be fine with that. Then you hire Davidson because Davidson doesn't theoretically know how to do that, but he's a good hockey guy who knows the Blackhawks organization inside and out. But you still need like a face of this thing. And I don't know why. To me, if you have Davidson and this guy Greenberg, in theory, and then you have Edzo ahead of them, then I'm fine. Then I'm fine because Edzo doesn't know how to build, okay? But
he can probably recognize what's good and bad instantly.
Yes, but he doesn't know how to build an organization. He doesn't know how to be a GM. So he'd need Davidson to like help him with contract stuff, but he can help with talent evaluation, be the face, the voice, a trusted hand that everybody knows, and then maybe Greenberg fills in their weak spots, and that's your kind of triumvirate, but it doesn't sound like that's what Danny has alluded to doing. So it's like then this whole thing like is illogical and falls apart. So like why are you even interviewing this guy Greenberg if you're not going to have him be the GM? Because you can't have a GM have no hockey experience, and not even no hockey experience, but no relationships in hockey. Like how are you supposed to call up somebody and make a trade and like have a feel for a guy? Like who knows if he even watches hockey? It's just like he's a guy in sports. So
how close is this? So Jamie's husband is a C-suite guy, and maybe Spin Zone, that we'll just try and talk you into Greenberg here. And I'm talking myself in this. I don't believe this. I'm just saying, what if the reputation that got his referral to Jamie Faulkner was along the lines of, listen, this guy's so fucking sharp.
Yeah.
He's never gonna fucking crack it with Jed in this team. And he's a guy that if somebody were to sit down and actually listen to this guy, he'll knock your fucking socks off.
I think that's very plausible.
Great. Hire him for a different job. Okay. And her husband his name is Colin. He's the executive vice president of sales and marketing. So somebody, if that Greenberg guy is so great, I don't even know if Colin could identify that. You know, it's like different silos.
Sure.
You know, like if he's in baseball ops, like it's just
the business guys in all professional sports scare me. Like all these sales, marketing, my ticket sale, they just scare me. Like they're walking around like I know this and that.
Yeah. So I don't know how they get out of it. Now they interviewed the assistant GM from Carolina. Carolina has been a very they're
a wagon, right?
They're a very good team the last several years. A lot of that team was built by Ron Francis, and they're who's now moved on to Seattle. But they're a very what he left is they're a top 4 or 5 team in the East the last 3-4 years. Very very good team. He's known as like a big time analytics guy. So there's other names that have been floated out there where I'm like, okay, like I don't hate that, but I don't know like a ton about any of these guys. So that's why I was like, okay, well, at least we have this advisory committee because Danny doesn't really know a ton of these guys either, and Jamie doesn't either. It's not like either one of them spent a career inside the game of hockey, which is, I think, why that they were allowed to kind of be swindled a little bit by Stan and Al and those guys. So now it's like, but you're not using the advisory committee. At least that's how it would appear. So I don't know what they're doing.
Are they committed to so they are going to, do you think, are they committed to hiring someone before the trade deadline? Or
they did state that.
Okay.
So they said that but like I said, it feels like he released a memo that was before the town hall that this is our, we're going to have a person in place prior to the deadline, which is March 21st.
So the thing that really surprises me about this conversation is that if you talked about the Cubs going out and getting a GM or the White Sox, or just say like in Major League Baseball, there's like GM vacancies. There's always a list of well, they're waiting for this guy to be named. They're waiting for this guy. NFL, I feel it's like similar with offensive coordinators or maybe like that head coach surge where just like you just feel like there's just this pool of people to play with where it's like, well, we get rid of this guy, we can get this guy. And it's like so weird to talk about. There's a fucking GM there's a GM vacancy for the Chicago Blackhawks, and there isn't like some 33-year-old dude who's fucking reinventing the way people think about hockey for the Rangers that we can pull away. Or are there names in your sport where it's like
Tulsky would be the guy? He's the Carolina guy who's similar to that. He's a little bit younger. I mean, Davidson is thought of not necessarily in that like wonderkin kind of way, but he's 36. But he's been in the organization a long time. But there were. Back in the old regime, right? You had all these guys got picked off, and the Canadians hired a guy, kind of what you were saying earlier. They get these middlemen. The Jets hired Kevin Chevalier off. He went, then Canadians hired. I'm blanking on his name right now, but he was the GM for the Canadians for a long time until this year. He got fired or resigned. It was kind of murky, and so that was happening to the Hawks a lot. The two guys that kind of stayed the longest were Al McIsaac and Norm MacIver, a couple of mix. Al never got hired because everybody in the world fucking hates him. I can't tell you how many conversations I had in Vegas, because this was like, oh, you're a Blackhawks guy. All the Kyle Beach stuff comes up, Stan and Al, all this stuff. Everybody, agents, players, this, that, they all fucking hate McIsaac. MacIver was like the voice of dissent in the hockey ops department to the point that he got frozen out. So he got demoted by Stan when they did this whole restructure. He's like, fuck you, I'm out. He went to Seattle with Ron Francis. I got the assistant GM job immediately because he's so well respected. Davidson was definitely under Norm MacIver's wing. So like a good guy to like learn and grow with, and everybody loves Norm MacIver. Kind of wish he was still here. Kind of wish they would interview him because he's a guy like, hey, like, don't do the Anisimov deal. Don't do it.
Right.
Okay. Fuck you. We're doing it. And that turned out to be a disaster. Hey, don't do that Shaw deal. They did anyways. That turned out to be a disaster. And I love Andrew Shaw. Met him in Vegas this weekend too. Great guy.
How is he? Just size him up for me. He walks in the room. Like, compare him to White Sox Dave. No offense, Dave. I'm just saying, like, you're a good
I'd
barometer
say
for this.
a little bit taller, but small. Like small guy.
Small, right?
Small, physically small. Like Dave's wider than him, and
lower center of gravity. Lower center, better, stronger center of gravity.
If you got to say I didn't mean that in a bad way, it came off in a bad way.
All right, let me rephrase. I would say that you have like a fullback body, and Shaw has like a slot receiver body.
Okay.
Feel better?
Not particularly.
What's wrong with fullback body?
That's just a nice way of calling someone fat.
No, you got wide shoulders, Shaw's just, and he's like,
was he just starting fights with everybody?
No, we were at Catch, actually, believe it or not. The famous Catch.
What did you say about Catch?
It was awesome. It was like one of the best meals I've ever had.
Exactly.
It was great. And like Riggs knows the manager there somehow. Riggs sneaky just knows everybody. And he's like, why don't we just do family style and just bring us, whatever. And so
that's the way to go for it.
We handed the menus back. We had octopus. We had the Wagyu beef on the hot stone.
Yeah, that's what we got too.
It was fucking awesome.
Here I am flying a private jet, but keep going. Wagyu, hot stones.
It was great. It was great. But yeah, he's a little guy. But yeah, so I just don't know. Like, I'm very, very nervous because this is the type of decision that can set your organization back like 10 years. And then the other situation is, what does a new GM want to do with Toews and Kane? And does he have full autonomy? Because next summer would be the time to trade them.
Yeah.
If you're going to trade them.
You'd have to.
I personally wouldn't.
Okay.
So I think like people push back on this all the time. And if they want to take their next deal, let's say they're making $20 million, $21 million combined now. If they want to sign for a $10 million combined for the next 2 years, great. Bring them back. Run it back with this core, because they're like, this is what I said before the year, before Carleton fucked the first 6 weeks of the season. It's like they're probably right there for a wild card spot. And if the season started when they fired Carleton on November 6th, they would be like right in the mix for a wild card, maybe 2 points out right now, something like that. So they'd be fine, it's competitive hockey. And then you just try to sprinkle in enough to get this thing going, and you make the playoffs, and maybe you win a playoff series, and you get a few more years of competitive hockey with Toews and Kane. Or you could just suck, or you could just blow it up now and you're just like commit to sucking for the next 5 years. And you might be better 2 years earlier, but you didn't have those experiences with Toews and Kane. So I'd rather have those experiences and be competitive and be good now, because you know what? There's always going to be time in the future to rebuild. You're never going to have another opportunity with 1988. Why end it early if you don't have to? So I would be, I'm fine with being a playoff team, even though I know they have no real cup aspirations, if those guys take a reduced hit. If Kane wants to go out and get big money, he'll get it, and then that's the end of it. But if they're like, hey, like if you guys each take $5 million, or Kane, you take $6 million, Toews, you take $4 million, and let's see if we can get back in the playoffs and have some fun here. That's the plan I want to do. If those guys don't want to do it, or if they just say like, hey, we're ready to leave, then you trade them. But it's one of those conversations that has to be had. And then who cares in 5 years from now if you're still rebuilding because you hung on to Toews and Kane for another couple years to make a couple runs of playoffs. Like, I personally don't care. I don't know if that puts me in the minority. Blowing it up now, okay, so what? Then in 5 years you're going to be average, if those guys, because it takes hockey players. It's very rare to have an 18-year-old come in and just light the league on fire, and it happens, but it's not common. And even if you get a McDavid type guy, obviously the Oilers are proof that it's not a guarantee that you're going to be like a cup team. So just be a good team while you can, for as long as you can. And then the day will come where those guys can't play anymore, and then you rebuild. And that's it. But if you are trading those guys, you should probably trade DeBrincat and everybody else too. And just really, really down to the screws, down to the bolts. But it's going to be, there's a lot of big decisions to come here in the next 6 months. So the GM thing by March, hopefully, but that's the other thing. How is it? You hire a guy by the deadline, he comes in and he's got to run all the trades. How is he going to be like super familiar with everybody? All the prospects in the organization immediately.
Maybe what's holding them back in the interview process or in this process is they're like realizing like, well, you don't really know. I don't know. That's tough. Yeah. That seems like a recipe for. I don't want to say disaster, but then that speaks to like. I don't know, maybe Edzo, it does have a plan. You're talking about like, maybe it is like you bring a guy in.
Or maybe you just deviate from what you stated and just be able to look at. Because Edzo doesn't have a contract for next year as a broadcaster. So he's got to be doing something else somewhere else. I don't think that he'll come back on as a broadcaster. This is my gut feeling. So just hire him to be the head of hockey ops. Davidson runs all like the kind of day-to-day grind. Hey, how's this guy doing down in Rockford? Edzo's, he's making the phone calls and shaking the hands and making everybody, in the fan base and the organization feel better. Everybody loves him in that organization. Everybody. So you get him involved, and he's the face of it. You do the joint press conferences, and then I like the idea. Maybe Greenberg's not that guy, but a guy who can really understands how to build a hockey ops operation because it was rotten in Chicago. Understand and Al, it was terrible. So you have to find a guy who knows how to build and how to hire people and almost like a big-time HR type guy inside of hockey ops to really do the org chart properly and the budgeting properly and the analytics properly and get all that stuff lined up and kick all that information to Kyle and Edzo and then go from there. That's the only thing I can come up with, but it doesn't sound that's what Danny wants to do.
Love it. Guy knows his fucking shit. That was good right there. Or tell me otherwise. And I say the Blackhawks, you guys got a lot of grooming on your hands. A lot of grooming to do.
Would.
Close.
Okay.
Close? You were close. Because you would when you see White Sox Dave's balls and how trim they are with Manscaped. Can I get a round of applause, guys? This is part of the ad read, so fucking clap. Dave, fucking clap, Dave. Thank you for the round of applause. Today, I'm excited to announce Manscaped launched their Ultra Premium Collection. Ooh. Believe it or not, it's for your not so private parts. That was tough to figure out.
Yeah,
because that's not. I'm talking about a leveled up hygiene routine with your favorite manly scent. This is an all-in-one skin and hair care kit for the everyday man and covers you from head to toe. Literally, Manscaped is trusted below the waist. Now trust them with the rest of your body.
I love when I put my body into the arms of someone else. Into someone else's jurisdiction, we'll call it.
Like Jose Canseco.
I don't know where he came from, but yeah, I mean, Manscaped is just so reliable. Like, I go with the deodorant now, and it's not for my balls. It's for my stinky armpits.
Okay.
They get stinky when I'm all worked up, I start to sweat a little bit. But this deodorant, it dries clear. It's aluminum-free. It smells like their signature scent. I love that scent. Bottle that up and put it in a candle.
What about the hydrating body spray?
Talk to me, because it's winter. Everything is dry. I get like just straight up dead skin on my shins in the winter sometimes because it's like the air.
Do you peel them off?
You can. It's like it doesn't peel off like a sunburn, but it's just like white and flaky. It's like almost like dandruff on my legs. It's disgusting. So I started using this hydrating body spray. They have no issues anymore.
No, none at all.
Yeah, it's great. And then, the body wash is great. The 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner, get that clean scalp going. And it's great. Yeah, so if you use promo code REDLINE, you get free shipping and 20%.
That's a fucking
20%.
crazy deal. I mean, they got to be
20%.
losing money on this, don't they?
Well, you would know.
That's
You
not
shipped
my
those
business.
fucking T-shirts a couple years ago.
I was
Dave.
actually thinking about that yesterday because I drove by the FedEx store that I shipped all those T-shirts from on Division Street, and I was like, "Yep,
That was a tough.
that was a bad beat."
With Dave and I are going to we got a little something here, but the call to action again for Manscaped. I don't know. I'm going to repeat it again because I know some of you are driving or exercising right now, which is a funny thought. Good luck on your next rep. Or set, I should say. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code REDLINE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code REDLINE at manscaped.com. The power of attraction is now in a bottle. Thanks to Manscaped. And, of course, don't forget the Lawnmower 4.0. That is manscaped.com, promo code REDLINE, 20% off. Which weird. Hey, you come to Redline Radio for the sports talk and the banter. Stick around for our relentless commitment to you smelling good, feeling good, looking good. When I think of I want to shower and I need to get fresh, I think of us. What are you checking your hair right now?
Yeah. I want to make it look good for this Manscaped commercial.
Something's off.
It
looks a little flat. Were you wearing a hat earlier? Did you do it this morning?
It's the headphones. But I still feel like it's shiny and nice. Got decent volume.
Tom, do we have any headphones that don't fuck with Chiefs hair?
No.
Okay. So that's
You
the
could,
problem we have. But
shift them so they're back.
Thanks a lot, Allbiz Pete.
Well, Pete's a fucking clown.
Is your hair insured? I'm serious. You're a public figure. You like talking about your hair. If you lose the hair, you're fucked. Dave is going to kill.
That's your
Dave will
entire
literally put
identity.
you out of business if you lose your hair.
I would do that.
So I'm not losing any hair, but I'm losing some pigment.
That's fine.
I've had
salt and pepper's great.
I've had a few.
I don't know if
grays.
that'll ever happen to me.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah, your beard is fucking great, pal.
Yeah.
No, my beard, I actually like that. It used to be like a fucking deep red,
Oh, okay.
just deep
Yeah,
red.
this is
And
an
then when I
upgrade.
was like 25, it turned gray. And I don't mind it. But my dad's got, he doesn't have any gray in his hair.
Yeah, my dad. I don't remember my dad without gray hair. He started going gray and started losing his hair. Sorry, Dad, at 25. But my mom's side of the family, my grandpa died at 80, and he had been in a nursing home in a vegetable kind of state for 7 years. Only had gray around his temples. All
The
my
Polly Walnuts
thinking
wings.
Polly
yeah, all my uncles on that side, no gray, no real gray, and they're all in their 60s. So I'm hoping I have that side, but starting to get a little nervous.
I hope to God, I come in here one day and I'm like, his hairline's receding a little bit.
I don't think it'll recede.
I mean, you'd have to move to fucking the wilderness.
I'd love to move to the wilderness.
That's your entire identity. That's all you got going for you. And your
It is.
washed up, deadbeat, degenerate life is your hair.
Yeah.
You romanticize the wilderness. I think of it more like the Unabomber, in a fucking shed with just shit in a bucket. You just you get up. You
Yeah,
hate
I'm
your
not
life,
super interested in being the Unabomber.
I'm not.
Is that Oklahoma City?
No,
Is that Timothy
that's
McVeigh?
Ted Kaczynski.
Ted Kaczynski.
Evergreen Park guy. He grew up down the street from my cousin.
Ted Kaczynski sounds like the most Evergreen Park name of all time.
It's up there. It's certainly up there.
There's probably plenty of Kaczynskis running down there, right? Running around down there.
I mean, yeah, it's Polish. There's also a lot of O'Connells.
Yeah.
And Duffys.
Thompsons.
And McElroys. Hey, Finchy.
Any Shakiris?
Yeah, I think so. What'd you say?
Shakiri.
What is that?
I mean, he's our new striker.
New
midfielder.
yeah. Our new midfielder.
Midfielder.
Our new midfielder is you mean
Jordan Shaqiri, the Swiss.
Wait, you mean Nottingham?
I mean Chicago Fire.
Oh, let's go. We can do a Chicago Fire thing real quick. I am interested in doing Fire games this year.
Yep.
I'm interested.
I heard those tailgates are fucking awesome.
Only one way to find out, Dave.
They are awesome. I haven't been to one at Soldier, but I went to one at the Toyota Park. My brother-in-law 5-6 years ago, and it was all Mexicans, and they were the friendliest people ever, and they had unbelievable street corn and tacos.
Yeah.
And it was so fucking
That's what
good.
I've heard.
They're playing music and they're just having the time of their life, and they don't actually. It felt like they didn't give a fuck about the soccer at all, But they had a great party, and then at the old park there was like the only section that would fill up would be right behind one of the goals, and they would stand and cheer and chant the entire time. I am going to be doing a goalie shootout with the Fire and Scott Darling in like a month.
And me.
Are you in?
No,
Yeah.
I think we're gonna go watch. I'm not.
No, I'm kicking.
Kicking?
I will bury one, guaranteed.
Okay. All right, we'll see. But that's the plan. I'm gonna try to go to a Fire game at Soldier this year.
A Fire game?
A Fire game. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna
singular.
Singular. I'm not gonna commit to anything that I don't know that I will 100% enjoy yet.
Dude, I was researching season ticket packages a couple weeks ago just because I was just like, you know what? I should go to a Fire game. Why don't I just fucking get all of them? Why don't I just get tickets to all of them then?
How much do you think they are?
It was like 400 for a friendly, 600 for a little bit better. You can get a nice club package too. Those are nice. But I do want to do the Fire stuff. I just feel like it's one of those things. You have to be genuine going in there. I got to sit in the last row. I got to work my way into the. I can't just show up and be in the middle of the fucking. Oh,
yeah.
Well, you kind of got to go there, get a lay of the land, build some trust.
It has
with
to
the
be
people that are
genuine.
there.
Yeah. So it's starting prices at. I have $425. It's not bad. Not bad at all. I don't know how many games that is, but I'm definitely going to see at least one, probably multiple Fire games this year.
You heard it here first. Chicago Fire. MLS needs to make some changes to their roster rules. They force way too many Americans on the field at the same time. If they were smart, they would ditch that fucking rule and they would go heavy into the South American talent pool and Central American talent pool, and they'd start bringing up these guys instead of having the Brazilian lower leagues and the Argentina league. Just go get some and start spending some money on getting these guys because it's
how many players? What, like 75% or something?
Yeah, I thought it was you have to start like 6 American. You have to start of the 11.
Yeah,
like
that's
6
stupid.
have to be American or something.
Canadian football
has
leagues
a rule
like
on that. The EPL has a rule on that.
A lot of leagues have rules. Like a lot of those different domestic. You have to have the Italian league.
But part of it makes sense. If you're the Italian league, you want to be promoting your guys and stuff like that. But
our young guys, like soccer is getting if you look at our U.S. men's national team, they're probably more talented.
Oh, it's by far the most talented team, right?
Yeah, that we've ever had.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily getting all the results that we want, but
young guys.
But yeah, I'm trying to pull up the roster rules right now. But they have to have a place to go. All these places have academies and things like that. A good friend of ours, his son is in the Chicago Fire Academy. I'll tell you who that is afterwards. And they have it. I don't mind that rule to a degree, but while you're building the sport, but eventually, if you want it to be the EPL or whatever, it's like, hey, all that's out. Everybody come on over.
They got to get they have to get exciting talent. They have to get very exciting talent. And they're trying to grow the MLS is trying to grow because it's like, oh, well, you're American pride. The US men's national team is like the huge driver in that. And I really do this is a serious soccer take for me. If they did focus on young talent, I think the MLS could have a better, but we'll see.
Homegrown players and supplemental roster slots 21 through 30 may earn in aggregate each year up to $125,000 above the reserve minimum salary. So, I don't know. That doesn't.
I remember this is probably
I don't know.
8-9 years ago, they had the MLS All-Stars play against, I want to say, the Manchester United at Soldier Field, and the Manchester United won 10-1.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was the MLS All-Stars.
Is it All-Stars?
I was pretty sure it was the All-Stars, yeah. It was something like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense.
But that was just one club team from the best league in Europe plays our best of the best. It'd be the fucking best players in all of Europe for basketball playing the Bulls and just getting absolutely fucking dismantled.
We're gonna get to this interview with Charles Oakley, but I want to stay on the Fire for just.
Did you guys ask him about this?
We talked to Charles Oakley about. I mean, you guys promoting a book, so he started his book tour in Chicago at 6:30 in the morning. I think we met with him at 11 a.m. Okay. And his book is, and Kirk talked about it on his show the other day. His book is largely him just telling about 100 different stories of him telling people to fuck off and then them being like, I'm sorry, you're Charles Oakley. That's right. And I mean, there was no name, say a name, he told him to fuck off. Say a name, you owe him money, he's terrified. So it was cool. We got some perspective from him about the relationship with Charles Barkley and playing with Jordan and all that stuff. But interesting book. I know I'm losing my MLS thought, so it doesn't matter, right?
No,
Nah, it doesn't matter.
Tom, you're in charge. You make the decision. What do you want to do? You want to go to the Oakley interview? You're a fucking big New York Knicks man. You met him. What did you think?
Yeah, intimidating guy.
Huge.
Yeah, big guy. Very serious. One of his quotes was, "He doesn't joke around."
You're like, yeah, I don't joke.
Yeah,
You couldn't get him to do like a bing bong?
Watch the interview. Yeah, you'll see. That was out of the cards.
So here's Charles Oakley, and then stick around. I got something for White Sox Dave after.
Whoosh.
Big cat.
Yeah, you call him whatever you want to call him.
Oh yeah, big fat cat, big cat. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. We're in the interview portion of today's show. We are joined by legendary NBA enforcer Charles Oakley. Charles, thanks for coming in. I gotta wonder what's going on with the book, man.
Man, this book is something. It's something I've been wanting to do for the last 10 to 15 years, and just got the time to do it. It's a pandemic, so more people in one place, and I just want to tell people how I was raised and brought up, and a lot of different stories, and especially like my grandfather, how much he, I copy his, his style of life for living, and try to, be tough like him, and here we are today. The book, The Last Enforcer.
Did you enjoy writing it, or what was the process like?
Oh, it was good. I mean, when you can tell your story, not nobody else's story, and it's and people believe in you, and that's what my whole book is about. My trust over my career and the stories in the book, and a lot of people like put stories in things, and they ain't your story, it's somebody else's story. No, 110%, all these my stories.
How much do you think that image that people carry around day to day about Charles Oakley is true?
It's up to the individual, but it's what you do, your body at work. My whole career, I've been consistent. So what you see is what you get, and people question you. It's always gonna be someone question you. But in this book, you see how many stories I tell, how many people I've been around, and been around a lot of high profile people. So the trust word, it got to be a good trust word with me, with a lot of people, because there's a lot of people I'm talking about, and a lot of people in this book.
So I was curious too. So it's called The Last Enforcer.
Yeah.
Was there at any point where you didn't like being called, "Hey, he's an enforcer"? Like, because you had skill too. Did you take it as a dig at any point or no?
They pointed me out in a special way, and people can, like my teammates and families and friends, and I always wanted to be in situations I see people, I try to help them enforce different things, enforce to be better, not worse. But it's a name. And like, you name your kids, you name a store or something you open up. It ain't nothing bad.
Yeah.
So when you're putting the stories together, I imagine there's a lot of MJ stories early on, and I'm wondering if you had to get like approval, or did you run anything? Did he say no to anything that you want to tell now on the podcast?
No, I had to get approval. It ain't like you'll get your temp for your driver license, then you got to come back and take your license, get your license. No, it's just my stories, and I know MJ, he know me, and ain't nothing crazy. Just like it's fun stories about him, about myself, about a lot of some people I might turn the volume up a little, but he did the forward of my book, so he trusts me, and he understand me.
One thing I liked was like you kind of. And I encourage people to check this out, because especially some of the stuff about those early season bowls is legit fucking awesome. But one thing that stood out was you were telling the story about like MJ in the rookie All-Star game, and it was a real small line in there, but it was about Isaiah and Magic colluding together, and,
right.
And you had said that Magic was real particular about getting his way.
Oh,
I think people see that a lot with Isaiah, but Magic puts that like real friendly face on. Is there somebody behind the scenes that's like real demanding?
Isaiah, he's crying. He was on the dream team and this and that, and Magic, Magic 6'8", Isaiah 6'2", but Magic is just more like that's like you said, that smile gets you, and when he start talking, you forget about things. But Magic's a great guy. I like his style. I've been around him a lot. Isaiah's just, he's still trying to get somebody to hold him or love him, because he didn't make the dream team. He did a lot of things wrong. His teammates know, people around him know, but he want to show you a different side. But he's sneaky.
Who would you say of all these people? Is there anyone that like you would qualify as your whiniest teammate? Like, who is someone that's just like, yeah.
My thing is, in this book, I really don't go like just like this guy, all 12 guys, whine his teammate. I don't know.
Starks?
I ain't gonna say whine. He play hard, and I think if you watch basketball now, if I was playing now, I could probably say because maybe 10 out of 11 guys whine. It's just everybody want to call. I got fouled, but then they can't make the free throw. So what are you whining about? Work on your free throws.
Mm-hmm. Actually, that speaking of now, did you see that Grayson Allen foul on Caruso?
No, but I heard about it, and I think that's not the first time he did this in college 2 or 3 times. We never expect him to do this, and now he's still doing it. So it's a track record. Yeah. It's just like that guy in New York who owned that team. He keep doing things to people. In this book I talk about him, but the track record speaks for itself. I mean,
can I show you the foul right now? I'll show it to you right now.
Yeah, pull it up. I'm curious to see what you think because
I never saw the foul.
It looks like it. I mean, pretty routine for back in the day, right? But in today's age,
they got another angle coming.
Yeah, let me see. I mean, when the guy in the air and you in the air, I mean, who knows how? I know cushions are like, who know what the guy gonna fall?
I mean, the second slap.
I mean,
that's a tough second slap, Charles.
I don't think it's that bad. It's just
the landing was what kind of makes it.
The landing, it ain't really that bad to me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see. You see that McHale take Kirk Rams out of the air?
Yeah.
Nah, that's 3 times worse. This is just like they got a good shot. It's slow motion, and the guy fell like I mean, you hate to see anybody go out, especially he out for the season, right?
6-8 weeks.
Yeah,
that's the season.
Mm-hmm.
And your team making a run, and like the Bulls really made the transition. You gotta give that credit to the GM and whoever making the changes because they really, like you say, if you know what you're doing, 2 or 3 players. And add, the Roses was good, Zach been good, and they got a big guy in the middle, but I think they playing well. I mean, I know they lost 4 out of 5 one day, and they got back. And they right now they're still trying to. When you start losing, it's like being in mud and trying to get out of it. You keep spinning, sooner or later, hope you get out. But I mean, I think they got 2 All-Stars. I mean, it's big. When the last time they had 2 All-Stars.
Yeah. Paul and Jimmy. So like 8 years.
Right.
Long time.
I think that team won with Thibodeau. With Tib with that team?
Yeah, no one.
Yeah. I mean,
you would have fit in great on those teams.
Yeah. They need a power forward now, really.
Yeah, they do.
They do. Yeah, they need a power forward, but they playing well. Everybody playing small ball, but you still need that big guy who can play 4 and 5.
Do you think you do well, or would you ever have the desire to do like NBA on TNT like those guys do?
I mean, they.
Could you sit in the same room as Charles?
No, could he sit in the same room with me? I run this show. TNT, them guys. I mean, they do a lot of stunt. I be thinking they be trying to go to Hollywood because they do a lot of acting and commentating. So I mean. They got to entertain their people, and so I mean, I would love to be on a debate with them on the show, but I wouldn't be doing all that extra stuff. No, I want to let people know I'm real about my job, and it's just funny. I used to watch it, but it's hard to watch because when you play ball and you play stuff serious, you take it serious. I'm not really a joke around guy. That's just me.
Now, you talk about it a little bit in the book early, and then I know you tell a story later, but what is the relationship with James Dolan like now?
With James Dolan, we're still in court. It's unfortunate that happened. It was sad, something like that happened. Fans can see it up close right there in person. Bad moment. I mean, I played, whole decade with the father, never had a problem. I just know he won't shake my hand. I don't know what the deal was, and it was bad on his half and bad for the NBA.
Do former Knicks players, do you guys collectively think he needs to sell the team?
Collected, I think that's what's going on in the NFL right now. You see all these these guys saying that they don't get a fair shot to run a franchise, and maybe he shouldn't have a franchise because ever since he got it, it went down. I mean, so maybe he bad for the, to be a part of something like that. And then what he made happen in the Garden, he shouldn't be a part of nothing because that shows his responsibility. Whatever it is, he's taking it personal. And I think that when he takes something personal and you're trying to build something and you need to get people to come to your establishment to make you better, when people see stuff like that happen, they don't want to be a part of it. That's why they cannot make a free agent come there in the last, 5 or 6 years. You got Carmella and Stoudemire, but you haven't got a bona fide number one that can put a team on their back, like a KD, a Kyrie, So we have to see what happens. You got to fix upstairs and get everything else together.
Yeah. So one thing I'm really fascinated by is the 2001 season you spent here. Mm-hmm. Was Eddie Curry when he came in the league? Because Tyson just came in the league too. Did his career pan out how you thought? What was your first impression, and what do you think of his whole career?
So in the book, I talk about it because Tim Floyd was the coach. They didn't put time in them like they should have. You drafting 2 young guys in the top 5 out of high school, don't know what NBA just, about, period. They just come in and doing stuff on the run. And then you got a rookie coach. So it was this bad mix of things. And, Eddie and Tyson, both of them was, good in high school. But, I think Tyson got it more than Eddie. Eddie was home. Tyson came from California. And I think sometimes coming home is harder to play and deal with the people outside your family, everybody pulling you certain ways. So I think that maybe Eddie went to another city, he could have been better, and his work habit could have been better. Sometimes you stay around home, you get lazy and think everything will be given to you. I think Tyson was more experienced, come from LA and had a better understanding. But, I had their back though. They went through a lot with the Bulls in the book that, Pfizer tried to, bully them a little bit. I wasn't gonna let that happen.
Yeah, that was around the time I want to say like the NBA betting scandal really took off. Were you surprised when that news broke?
Betting scandal
with the referees?
I don't nothing surprised me these days. But my thing is, it's a lot of sneaky stuff going on, in the NBA. Like calls. We in the playoff. Just blatant calls. Ain't no fouls. They got instant replay now, but back then they didn't have instant replay. And I know it being in the playoff with the Bulls a couple of times was distant. I mean, it just, you hate to talk about, what could have been, but playing against Miami in the playoff, a call or put a team in a penalty that can hurt another team. And I'm a vision of the game, and I watch tapes. I go back and see that, when you having a run, one call can change everything. And I ain't saying they rig or whatever, but it's gonna be 2 or 3 bad calls in every game. And just, can you get over the hump? And most time when we play, when I was in New York, when we trying to make a run against the Bulls or somebody, but we never got the call. But the other team always got the call.
Mm-hmm. Do you think so? Back to that team too. Do you think was Tim Floyd just not a great coach? Was he in over his head? What did you think of him?
Not a great coach. In over his head. He should have been the water boy or something. He had no kind of personality, no skills or nothing. The only thing he knew was when the bus stopped, he's the first one at the bar.
So given the franchise when you were there in the 80s and then you get back, was it just completely unrecognizable? Like, what was the biggest difference going in that building from then to then?
So when I came back in 2000?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
New facility. Just, the space of basketball had changed. More modern stuff. You can, work out. You can stay there. They had the food there. So, they made it so much easier because you had to change with, what's going on. So every team in the league had changed. They bringing food to the locker room, bringing food to practice. You after shoot around, they got food for you to take home. They try to make sure you was eating, taking care of your body. But in my career first there, they didn't care what to do. So they regroup. When you win a championship, you build things that, you want to attract people to keep coming.
For sure. And what was I know you had a stint coaching too, right, with the Bobcats?
Right.
Would you ever go back to that? Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, I do. You know, in this book, I coached the Big Three, but coaching now is tough. I mean, it's so much tougher because the talent and the players, it's just like everything is just like threes and this and that. Guys don't want to work on low posts. I mean, they don't want to. I mean, you give them so much that their work effort is changed now. It's just a copycat league. They want everything the next team got. They want this, they want that. So I don't know. I mean, I did it then. It was cool, but it was, I could see it change. I had to change my tone a little bit, and I'm like, in life you do have to change with things, but I'm not gonna go to the bottom. I came down 3 steps. I'm not going no lower. But you have to go lower in this day and age, and I can't do that.
So when you're I want to say it's like mid 2000s, early 2000s. You and the boys, I think, careers are starting to wind down, and MJ's like, "Yo, I'm going back to play for the Wizards."
Right.
Did you guys just rip him apart? Were you guys busting his balls, or what? What was going on with that?
No, I mean, he had invested into the franchise, but he put the work in. I think that.
And not one part you guys were like, dude, fucking give it a rest.
No, I didn't. I don't. I mean, that's his decision. I don't never interfere with someone and make a decision because you got to live with what you do. So when he came back, I mean, he wasn't. He wasn't the MJ up there, but it's like he can still have the knowledge and he can always was smart on the court, so he played to the best of his skills. And he still averaged 20 points. I mean, so the fans loved it. The NBA loved it because it brought more attention to the game. Playing 2 years at Washington. Hey, I played 1 year with him. We had a ball, but we took it serious. We was older, but I didn't play a lot, but he did. And I think Stackhouse was there. He thought he should have been featured stuff with MJ because MJ was on the last leg and he was still in the middle, his game.
There was staying on that, I suppose, what would you say, stay on that era. You talk a lot in the book about the progression of NBA players and kind of how now they're soft these days. Is there somebody that you think, we'll say, towards the end of your career, you thought really carried on that legacy or at least maybe today is still playing really hard that you take pride in watching?
I get that question a lot. So in the book, and I think that you can see the league transition to a more, outside 3-point game, and for his physicality, I think that Draymond play on the edge. He play hard and he do a lot of dirty work. Don't worry about scoring and make sure Clay and Steph open and look out for them. So I give Draymond a lot of credit for how he played undersized guy, but he come out with effort, aggressive, check the centers.
Yeah.
So I give Draymond a lot of credit.
Draymond known for talking a lot of trash.
Yeah.
I like when you're talking, again, the book, there's so much great stories about especially Chicago guys, like the relationship and early in your career and coming up. And you're talking about Michael, everybody kind of sees him now as that crazy trash talker, but
right.
Early in his career, I think you referred to him as an FBI agent, just gathering evidence on
right.
people. Did you see that first hand breakout when he was it against the Celtics series or was it later when you were at the Knicks where he became really that loudmouth?
Well, once, like I said, when we first got into the league was crazy. People's, guys rehabbing, just, drugs here and there. So once they cleared that out, 3 or 4 years, and Mike got in control, they like going from a deacon to a preacher. You got to go through the, like being online and stuff. You got to cross over. So once he crossed over, like you said, it was his team. He held everybody accountable, this and that. And you see him after Scott and Horace came, they started growing. And then they add pieces. Jerry Krause did a great job adding pieces. But once after that, only guy was here from when all the crazy was going on after I left was Paxson. Paxson was the only guy that survived. And, but Jerry did a great job putting that team together. I know that people don't want to give him a lot of credit, but I do. He drafted me. But Mike was just special. I mean, you can just see it in him and how he, like I said, you be around him, it can rub off in a good way.
Do you think Jerry Krause got a raw deal in that Last Dance documentary?
I mean, I think that he didn't write the check, and like in the book I talk about that. I'm always gonna praise him because he drafted me, he traded me, he brought me back. But somebody had to put it together like a band. Like I was watching Janet Jackson documentary today. I mean, how when they get to go on a road or go tour, they had to get a choreography. So they got to sit. They might have to get 200 dancers. They got to pick 10. So that was Jerry Krause when he was scouting and putting teams together. He came to see me when I was at Virginia Union. He seen Scotty. We made the trade for Olapani, for Horace. So he did a lot of work in putting that team together. It wasn't easy because he made a lot of moves. It was like everybody went through the draft. Like Paxton was still there, free agency. So I mean, I like Jerry. I know that, like I said, it wasn't there to hear what was said in the Last Dance, but it was some talk. But what can you say?
If you went to grab a drink or go to dinner tonight, and your one choice of guest was either Charles Barkley or Patrick Ewing, who would you pick?
I want to go with Barkley.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it's just that feud there. I mean, I want to see can he sit across from me the whole time. I don't think he can do that.
Why is that? Just because you think you just tear him up, or you think?
No, it's just something. He can't look me in the eyes. He was wrong when he tried to smack me in my cheek. So in the book I talk about that. But this is gonna be a lifelong story. I mean, you can be at the park, 75 years old on a cane, and there might be somebody walk past, like, oh, he like Charles Barkley. So his name will always be in my mouth.
Yeah. Does it surprise you how popular and how big he's became now on that show?
Well, he ain't got big in two ways, in weight and in his mouth. But yeah, I mean, he put on. I mean, I'm not mad at it. I wish him all the luck in the world, but he just can't say my name on the show.
Yeah, but there's part of you that's like, man, I could do that, right?
No, I mean, I don't want to interfere because somebody do something. I'm staying in my lane. That's him. I wish him all the luck, but he just can't say my name on the show.
It sounds like a lot of people have spent a lot of time running from you. Who's still running from you right now? You want to call out? Well, look in the camera. Call them out right now.
They're not running. I mean, if something going on, they always come to the door. Even though basically some like All-Star Weekend in Cleveland, so you're gonna be in my city in Cleveland, and you're gonna try to go out, and I'm in that city. You better ask people at the door, is Mr. Oakley in there to get in? If I ain't in there, they can go in. But ain't too many guys gonna go out, and if they in this book, and I'm talking about them, because I might be anywhere.
I noticed it too. I was interested. You got a hair place, you got a couple car washes, you got a steakhouse.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite kind of business endeavor to get involved in?
I mean, everything. This book was one, and
Yeah.
I think even I was on Chop. I mean, I like to just like Dance with the Stars. I love that. I'm doing Oak Out Hungry now. We going around different city cooking for inner city shelters and stuff. But my thing, I just like doing stuff, and I don't mind challenging or trying stuff. I don't know where especially if you get the mind and heart that you gonna make. Some people go in with a soft mind and this and that. You gotta go in with like, I'm gonna do this. No matter what it take, and put my effort. That's what you hear a lot of people saying. If you got a vision, just try to keep doing it, and hopefully that one day it work out. But no, I like doing stuff. I like staying busy. I like to see people happy. That's why I got into cooking.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah. Well, what else would you like people to know about the book? Where can they find it?
Well, I mean, I know some people got their Twitter accounts. And basically, you can go to Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and it's a good reading book, funny, showing a lot of me growing up and growing into who I am today. And a lot of people might not like who I am today. They might want to see a softer side, but I got to keep it real. I'm going to give you the real side. So my thing is, when you're driving, always go right. If you think you got to go somewhere wrong, go right.
Mm-hmm. Well, Charles, thanks for coming on.
Thank
we really
you.
Appreciate it, man.
I always got to show love to Chicago.
For sure. We appreciate it, too.
Yeah.
Go grab the book, The Last Enforcer. It's a great read.
So there he is, Charles Oakley, the last enforcer, all-time bad boy of our lifetime, and probably an underrated player in NBA Jam. Just saying it.
Was on NBA? Was it him and Starks?
It's got to be him and Starks. It's gonna be him. What about him and Ewing?
I think it's Ewing and Starks.
And then Mason.
I thought you only had 2.
I know, but I'm saying you can cycle through.
Yeah.
You could do Kukoc and BJ Armstrong at one point.
I think that was the version that I didn't have. The Sega version, the one when we did the tournament, you can only had the 2 guys.
Either way, Charles Oakley, scary fucking guy. Big guy, but nice guy. I hope he sells a lot of books. There's another Knicks book out, again, like Kirk talked about it. There's like big New York Knicks stories going around. So if you're interested, I would recommend the book. It's an easy read. Now, closing down the show, Dave, this is something that is very near and dear to both of us. And when I think of Charles Oakley, I think 90s, I think being a badass, I think just like fucking boxing people out in the fucking concourse. And when I think of 90s in baseball, I think of steroids. Mm-hmm. And we got some great news for a couple guys like you and me that love the steroid era and would love to see it come back.
Yeah, I was talking to someone last week, and I wish I would have mentioned this out loud, but I kind of just escaped my brain. But they haven't been drug testing all winter because the players have been locked out. They cannot get drug tested. They can't walk into a MLB facility of any sort. So they're on their own as far as training goes, which is not atypical. A lot of guys do their own thing in the offseason anyways before they report for spring training. But I can't wait to see some guys, come back like 30 pounds heavier, best shape of their lives, and just fucking ripping 80 dongs this year.
So we're betting overs in April.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope a bunch of them had the balls to actually stick that needle in their asshole. Because I'm sure there's apprehension.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, this is like, I think people forgot this about the steroid era. Like the beauty of abusing steroids is like there are players that will now, if there are guys doing steroids right now, I mean, I'll guarantee you there'll be players you have never even heard of.
Oh,
you've
yeah.
read in a passing scouting report 3 years ago. It's like, did you hear this guy hit fucking 13 home runs in April. He's huge.
Yeah.
It's like,
They're going to be like, yeah, he changed his swing.
Yeah.
No, he worked
more launch angle.
Yeah, because once the lockout happened, he was able to work it on his own.
Yep.
He hired his local high school hitting coach to work on his launch angle.
It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be a beautiful thing. It's exactly what baseball will need after this shit show ends, because everybody just hates everybody in baseball right now. It's a dying sport, unfortunately. I don't want to say dying, but
it's not what it was.
It's weird
Decaying,
because they're still
maybe?
making money and they're making more money and the revenue streams are growing, but it is not because the fans like the game more. Like there's this dissociated.
They figured out how to be more efficient with the ways they make money.
Correct. Well, yeah, technology is helping to globalization. All that like stuff that applies to businesses and industries. It certainly applies to Major League Baseball, but. It's not because like Tom over here is like, oh, I can't wait to catch a fucking Yankees game now, dude. Yankees are sick. Like this is so much fun. Like that's gone. That will never happen. But here's an idea that just might. What if teams were allotted 2 to 3 players each year that they could designate as like, you will be our official steroid abusers?
I would love that.
And then now you have a test. Now you have a test. You have like test data. You can now, let's measure exactly how much better the steroid. And now we're talking strategy. It's fucking February 15th, guys. You got to get your steroid designatees or assignees in, and it's like, man, like Ian Happ, Jason Hayward.
Well, who would you pick for the Cubs?
That would be my question. Is it better to have, the bottom 3 guys in your lineup take it, or the top 3?
Let's find out.
Yeah.
What do you think? So what I would do is I would
go with Magical and Horner up the middle.
Yeah, I would definitely have the lightest hitting guys on the team juice their fucking skulls.
Okay.
All right. So
or whoever hits the most line, whoever has the highest line drive percentage, just like give me him, give me him,
give him another 30
and
feet.
Horner up the middle are going to combine, if they don't touch steroids this winter, 15 to 20 home runs maybe.
What?
I think that's probably high.
That's probably high.
That is if those 2 guys combine for 20 home runs. Now I'm going to say something stupid like I'll cut off my pinky. No, I won't do that, but I'll be surprised.
15 home runs is probably like max. You'll get 5 out of Madrigal and 10 maybe out of Horners, assuming they play the whole year. Mm-hmm. Give them 30 bombs apiece, and now you're cooking with a little gas up the middle. Madrigal's going to hit 300.
And then give me Kyle Hendricks. No, not the velocity. I mean, whoever's like
No,
the
he doesn't
most.
need- he
Who's
doesn't-
the most? Wilson Contreras. They make him catch 162 games. It's like, dude, who gives a fuck? You're on fucking steroids, dude. Charles Johnson did this shit all the time. In the
Anthony
late 90s.
Rizzo. You think he's coming back?
Yeah, everybody.
Give him steroids?
I mean, it's like we broke up. All right, we broke up, guys. It sucked for everybody. It is Anthony Rizzo comes back. It will only get worse. We're already moving on. So they'd have to pay him a lot more to come back, I think. And I feel like he's like, dude, I got to go put up some numbers and continuously get contracts, like 2-year contracts. So could you imagine him come back to Wrigley, that first press conference, like, have you talked to Jed about hard feeling? Like, I mean, literally, you couldn't pay me to do the media.
Yeah.
You couldn't pay me to sit there with Bruce Levine and be like, yeah, good point, Bruce. That was a good report from you. Or like, you know, him coming in the dugout and looking at Ross and being like, dude, remember when we were fucking awesome?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, now what is this? No, and I think after he left was like, all right, people are cheering on Frank Schwindel. I think he's like, all right, fine.
Yeah, probably.
But and now the grim reality is there's nothing more. Let's say there's no position that's worse to hit free agency than first base. Like that is just there's like it doesn't matter about his defense. All he has to do is hit home runs. It's like, well, here's a list of 20 guys right now. Like Dan Vogelbach is a perfect example of like, oh, well, you know what? I guess we'll just have to play this guy for 100 games instead. And guess what? He'll fucking hit bombs.
Yep.
And I'm sure someone's going to come back and be like, Dan Vogelbach's OPS. He's just a name. Dan Vogelbach's just a name. Anthony Rizzo,
I hate that you have to qualify that.
I know, because you use the wrong name. I don't even want to ask you guys if you would let Rizzo back. What I'm going to ask you guys is this. Just trust me. Just let him go. We just need to let him go. No, don't get romantic. Don't get sentimental. Don't tell me about ticket sales. Don't tell me about you were the young kid who watched Anthony Rizzo get traded. Now you find out he's coming back.
You know, you've known me a long time. Have I ever broken up with a girl and not gotten back together with her?
No, that's actually one of the all-time.
Sure. Bring him back. Bring him back.
It's like the heart beats harder.
Yeah.
It's like
Can I tell a quick
you
story?
see Rizzo smiling in a Yankees uniform. And you're like, cut the check, Tom. Cut the fucking check right now. Yes, Dave. Of course.
Chief and I had a bet that it was just like Jerry and Elaine, where it was $100 if he would get back with his old girlfriend, and I'm like, you will get back with her. And then we were doing something, and I had to get something from his apartment. I'm like, oh, I'll just go grab it. Like, you don't have to. And you're like, no, I'll go get it. And I was like, it's a little weird. Because he went, like, there was no reason he needed to go back to his apartment. I could have just walked in. I think it was my laptop or something, whatever. And the next day, he pulled me aside. He's like, she was there. Sorry. And I was like, yep. I was Jerry Seinfeld.
You were trying to hold that back from Dave.
He was.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want to get teased or what?
I just didn't want. Yeah, basically, I just didn't want it. At that moment, it was still like new. I know exactly what it was.
Well, you were vulnerable.
It was Windy City Smokeout, and
That's what it was.
You're like,
we were at the Western store.
We were at Cleo's, and you're like, let me run back. Can I just borrow some socks? He's like, I'll just run in your apartment and get them. No, it's fine. Like, I'll get them. And he sniffed it out, and I had to be like, yeah, she's there.
So that's like Dave. That's Dave. Dave's instincts are high. I'll give Dave high marks. Your instincts. You probably sniffed as soon as he had. You were just like, wait a second.
Like, Chief's gonna go out of his way to get me socks. Like, something's up.
Yeah, if something was up.
And that was up. Then you won.
So you would bring Rizzo back?
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
And that's how I think you should look at it. It's just like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
sure. How old's Rizzo now? 32.
Yeah,
around there.
Yeah, 32.
Yeah, if he can,
he's got a few years. Yeah, sign him to a 3-year, $45 million deal.
Put his locker right next to the front door of the clubhouse, and he can kind of be the leader and usher the Cubs through this kind of transition phase, and have him be the culture guy and all that kind of bullshit as they go, win 75 games and have that be that.
They could have paid him money to do that, and they fucked it. And they were like, no, dude, we're not talking to you.
Well, now you flip them for a few assets and you come on back.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Good luck to Anthony with the decision. I mean that. Good luck. This is a difficult decision.
Come on back, baby. Come on back.
God, just be happy. Just like I like you so much. I'm not being selfish as a Cubs fan. Of course, I want 44 playing first base. But as somebody who cares deeply about Anthony Rizzo. Okay, anything else? Super Bowl week again. Predictions. I don't know. I like the Rams. You like anything else on your brains, heads? Did you guys talk about White Sox Dave's hat?
Yeah, I mean Dave's a needle guy. We had that. We talked about that. I've picked up Nottingham Forest. I have had more fun and more gambling success rooting for Nottingham Forest than I have for any team in the last 5 years.
And I hope people are listening. You hear me talk about soccer. It's a real. The excitement that comes from the goals and
I've always been a soccer person, but I just never had a team because it always felt like, am I just gonna like pick up and be a Chelsea fan? It felt like somebody else, like I'm a Cowboys, Lakers, Yankees, like those people that are just like I just like the best historic teams. So I didn't want to be like a fan of one of the big teams. But then if you're a fan of one of the middle teams and you have no like future, then that kind of sucks. And so it's like it's hard to get attached to a team. And then my brother got the job there. I started learning, watching all that, and now I just like genuinely like I care. And they've been hot in the FA Cup. They got a game today in about an hour. And I love them, and I genuinely I don't say that loosely. Like I love watching Nottingham Forest, and then Dave comes in wearing their arch rivals hat.
Yeah.
Derby County.
And
so
you're a Derby County guy. I
am.
like Wayne Rooney.
A huge Wayne Rooney fan.
He's probably going to Everton, but
I'm also an Everton fan now that you mention it.
How's that?
They said that everyone's like, yeah, if you want to just be just go to Chelsea or something. I was like, no, fuck that. They're too good for me.
Right.
And they're all like, oh, well, if you're looking for a really diehard fan base that's kind of small, but the team sucks but should be way better and has, ownership issues.
And lives in the shadow of someone they share a town with.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Everton's the team to follow.
Yeah.
I like that. I tried to like them back in the day. That was one of the teams I tried out because they had Landon Donovan on a loan in 2013 or something like that. And he was good for them, and it was fun, and I was rooting for them. And then as soon as he left, I was like, I don't care about this team.
Yeah.
So,
I'm a Derby County fan now.
Yeah.
Everton's rebuilding their stadium out of landfill. They live in the shadow of Liverpool, and I guess it's like a very integrated fan base or something. Where you live next to the guy who's a Liverpool, you're Everton.
Yeah.
The Everton people hate their fucking team, and they're like, that's why because they say if you're a Bears fan. Like the way people talk about the way you guys talk about the Bears is how we talk about Everton. You should be an Everton fan. Like why would I double down on this? I'm trying to escape this as much as I can.
That's why I like Nottingham because they're one of the oldest pro sports teams in the world. Like they were founded in 1865. They've won 2 European championships, but it was 40 years ago. But the people just care so much. And so I started getting into it. They play in a stadium similar to Wrigley. It's tucked in their neighborhood alongside a river. It's just awesome. They got great traditions. And then as soon as I started really getting into it, they just keep winning. So they might actually go up to the Premier League. They're on the fringe. And if they do that, that would be the greatest sports moment I've had since the Cubs. So
that's a sad life, man.
It is. It is. That's how bad it is in Chicago that I had to pick a second tier English soccer team to find any joy.
Yeah. You went to the championship league.
The championship.
Now
we're all going to the premiership.
I like that. Shout out Fulham. Shout out Tony Khan, Illinois guy, doing his thing.
I don't know who that is.
Loaded. He's his dad owns the Jags. And he does the AEW. He's in charge of AEW.
Oh yeah.
He's on the board with the Jags. He's an Illinois guy too. He's a very good guy to Barstool. Maybe a trip to England to do a soccer tour one of these days. Tom, get the fucking camera battery charged.
When do they start? Because I want to go to
August.
Ireland. Okay, so it would be good. I want to go to Ireland for the Northwestern Nebraska game in the fall. Maybe we can double down.
Oh,
go to
flights are cheap.
Flights are pretty cheap.
Yeah, we could do this job remotely, guys. We have the fucking what's the little handheld recorder we could do this on?
The pencil.
The Zoom.
We don't have Sirius.
Yeah.
It's not like we're broadcasting.
You should go to Ireland.
The boys go to Ireland.
Are you Irish, Tom?
Yeah.
Same.
Chief,
I love Ireland.
No, I'm just kidding. You guys.
I love Ireland. So yeah, you know what?
Go.
You could probably talk me into that.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
All right, sponsors, hit me up. Until then, all gas.
No breaks.
And DJ, play that shit.